Hey, welcome to another episode of the Rock Fantasy Files on the Rock Fantasy YouTube channel. I'm here to chat with Damna, vocalists of the band Elvenking, as they prepare to release their new album, Reader of the Runes Rapture, out April 28th via AFM Records. And welcomed. And where are you joining us from today?
Hi, Steven. It's great to be here. Actually, I'm joining from a small town in Italy. It's on the eastern part of Italy, not so far from Venice, actually.
Excellent, excellent. Uh, let's see. Let's talk a little bit about the new album, and when I'm going to ask a little bit more about your band and a little bit of the history to fill folks in case they've never heard of you before.
Great.
So let's hear a little about that new record and some of the tracks and whatnot on it.
Well, yeah, the new record is actually the second part of a trilogy. We started that in 2019 with the previous album, Reader of the Runes, Divination. It's actually its name. And we've always been wanted, to do a concept story, a concept album, and we've always been fans of bands like King Diamond or Wasp or Sabotage, bands that
Mm-hmm.
made real great concept albums, rock operas, and
Sure.
that kind of album, but we've never been, I think, bold enough to do something like that, or we never had the right idea, probably, so we preferred to skip that until we had the real good idea in our hands. And I think that when we were starting to compose the previous album with me and Aiden, the guitarist, we just talked a little bit, and we came up with this idea, with this story. And yeah, we tried to develop it in the album we were writing at the time, but we saw that there was too many things going on, so we decided to make more albums out of that.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, we split the story into three parts. So we made, the Divination in 2019. Now we have the Rapture, which is this one. And then, we will come with another part next year, actually, because we've already recorded some of that. During the pandemic, we actually wrote all the songs of part two and part three.
Yep.
We had all the time to do that. And yeah, now we are nearly ready also with the next part. Anyway, let's focus on this one at the moment. And yeah, Rapture is the second part, is probably the most violent and dark um part of the story. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that you could hear also that in the music. We try to go with the story, with the lyrics, and had the right mood also musically. So
And you've released videos for a couple of the songs. I got to check them out. I watched them on YouTube. You
yeah,
actually have a song titled Rapture that is out in the video. You also have Bride of the Night, and
yeah,
then you have a lyric video for The Hanging Tree.
exactly.
What went into filming? Let's start off with the Rapture one. Where did you film it? And maybe we'll talk a little bit about the video.
Yeah, well, the Rapture was, we were meant to shoot two videos in the same in the same at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
Rapture and Bride of Night, but unfortunately we weren't able to do that, so we had to come up with something for Rapture, and we ended up working with a director that we've been working with in the past. We've made already videos with him in the past. We made the video of Elven Legions, a song that was on the Pagan Manifesto album.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we called him, and now he has a green screen studio. He has a big green screen, and
Mm-hmm.
and we had the chance to record, you know, basically all of the video there in that room, big room, and
Okay.
yeah, and he made all the rest. You know, he just came up with this eerie and creepy forest in the back,
Yes.
which was, yeah, pretty, you know, pretty much fitting the mood of the song actually.
Mm-hmm.
And then Bride of Night, we made that with the director of the Silver Seal video, the one of the, you know, the single of the previous
Mm-hmm.
album. And for that, we, you know, we had some shootings in a studio, and you know, with all black background and surroundings, and
Yeah.
we had these, you know, torches. And there's a thing that it's funny because, you know, we rented that room. It's that studio where they usually do, you know, shootings, video shootings, and so on.
Mm-hmm.
And we made all these, you know, scenes with the torches and real fire, real flames. And we were all, you know, really happy with the results. And you know, then the following, you know, the following day, we shot some scenes in the woods just outside of this city in the you know, in the center of Italy. There's a really
Okay.
cool places there. But then a couple of days later, the director called us and he said, you know, the budget here, we have a problem. I said, why? Because they had to repaint all the room where we had the flame, the torches
Okay.
on, you know,
Oh
because
boy.
it was all it was all, you know, all the smoke, you know, completely ruined all the ceiling, and
Oh
we had to
boy.
pay for that. That's it's funny now, but it wasn't, you know,
No,
so
I'm sure it
anyway.
wasn't.
But anyway, you know, things that happen.
Yeah, yeah. Mm. What's the current lineup in the band now?
Well, actually, it's me and Aiden, who are, you know, in Elvenking since 1997.
Mm-hmm.
Him, who was one of the founders of the band in 1998. Myself, you know, we've been together since forever now. And
Yes.
then we have Lethian, the violin player. Then we have Jacob, the bass player. Matt, guitar player. You know, is like new in the band.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have Simon on drums.
Okay. And I guess for those that have never heard of Elvenking before, we just touched a little bit on the history of the band, but you guys have been around a while, so you're not a new band by any means. And you said what you formed in 1997. So how
Yeah.
many albums do you have out? I didn't do my homework, obviously. I should do.
I think this is the 11th one actually.
Wow.
Yeah, there's been a lot going on. Yeah,
Yeah, it has. And have you've been you're based in Italy?
yeah,
And
exactly.
where did you come up with the name Elven King?
You know, actually, when I joined the band, there were already, you know, the band didn't have a name at the time, you know,
Mm-hmm.
but the two guitar players, who are the founding members of the band,
Yeah.
were kind of, you know, discussing around a possible name for the
Mm-hmm.
band, and there were different options on the table. But you know, at the time, we were all big fans of fantasy literature, and of course of Tolkien.
Yep.
And we were all, you know, nerds of the Lord of the Rings, of course. and
Yep.
and and you know, there was this, we all had this version of the Hobbit, the book,
Yep.
where there was this kind of illustration of the Elvenking gate, and under that, there was the writing, you know, the Elvenking gate, and that
Yep.
was something we all, you know, loved, and we thought it was a good name. And even if at the time, you know, there was this like big boom of power metal bands, and there were a lot of bands with the King in the name, you know. And I remember that when we signed with AFM Records, the first thing they told us was, you know, guys, you should change name because there are so many King bands around playing power metal. So, you know, we should do something about that. But, you know, we didn't want to change the name because we already had some, you know, especially in Italy, the underground scene was really active, and we had a lot of, you know, already fans who were following us. And
Mm-hmm.
you know, and we didn't want to change name, so we didn't. I don't know if it was the right choice or not, probably nowadays this thing is not so important anymore. I mean, but at the time,
Hmm.
really there were a lot of bands playing that same kind of music, doing pretty much the same things, also with themes and so on.
And have you toured in the United States? Because I'm joining you just out of New York City.
Unfortunately, we never toured in the United States. We played a couple of gigs there in the past. We
Hmm.
played Prog Power in Atlanta.
Okay.
Yeah, and then recently we made the 70,000 tons, which is not uh,
Well,
in
kinda.
kind of United
Yeah.
States, of course. We will play again this year at the Prog Power Festival in September.
Okay, in Atlanta.
Yeah, and we have some, there are some hints about a tour in the States this fall. So we'll
That'd be
see.
awesome.
We'll see. Working a little bit on that. We would really like to, because we never had the chance actually to tour there.
And you would, if someone just to ask you, what style of music is this? Would you describe it as folk metal?
Uh, it's difficult to say because we have so many influences and
Hmm.
um, many ideas about our way of seeing metal, that it's kind of hard for us to say we're just a folk metal band, because we have so many different
Hmm.
influences from many shades of metal sounds, that it's very difficult. We like to call ourselves pagan metal. Probably
Okay. Yep.
doesn't mean anything, probably, because with pagan metal usually you think about that kind of folk metal band, which is more on the extreme side,
Yes.
like Ensiferum, Fintroll, that
Yeah.
kind
Yeah.
of band. But we feel that in a way we're really near that kind of idea of a
Mm.
metal band. So yeah, we like to call ourselves pagan metal, and then you just have to see for yourself.
I can remember in the United States, we used to have the Pagan Fest tour pretty much
Yeah,
annual years back, where I was
yeah,
exposed to like Fin Troll for the first time, and Sephirum actually played locally a show we actually sponsored up in Poughkeepsie, New York, years back.
yeah,
I think Heidelvolk was on that and Trollfest from back
yeah.
in those days.
That's kind of the scene. We played several times with Ensiferum, Fintroll, and that kind
Hmm.
of scene. We feel more in that kind of scene than I don't know, a power metal scene or the simple folk metal scene, as we
Sure.
as we saw nowadays. When we started, there were no folk metal bands, except probably of one, which were the originators of the sound, and they were Skyclad,
Yeah,
the
okay. Yeah,
the
yeah,
English band, and they were playing this kind of thrash metal with violin, and they started this kind of
yeah.
way of mixing the metal with this kind of
Hmm.
folkloristic influences and so on. So we started with that in mind. We were big fans of Skyclad, and that was probably we were one of the first bands in Italy doing that. And yeah, that's the kind of folk metal we look up to.
Yeah, very well. And from Italy, a band that I've crossed paths with several times is Flesh God Apocalypse, of course.
Oh yeah,
Saw them
they're
a
cool.
couple times. They just came through New York, and I couldn't make it because I had a prior commitment. But seems like
Yeah,
every show that's been going through New York City lately has been sold out.
yeah.
I saw tickets were still available for today. I was a little surprised for the Enslaved and
Oh,
Insomnium tonight because everything. Of course, it is Wednesday night. Maybe that hurts a little bit,
oh,
but
okay.
what are some of your influences that got you playing metal and whatever you want to extreme metal, pagan metal, whatever you want to call it, or some of your influences growing up that said, "Hey, man, I want to be part of the scene."
Well, the very first thing that put me on this road, probably were when I was 6 or 7 years old, and I've heard for the first time Iron Maiden. It was
Yeah.
Seventh Son of a Seventh Son album was just released, and my brother bought the cassette and brought it home, and I listened to that kind of sound, and for sure I knew that you know, that was the kind of music I would have, you know, wanted to listen, uh, you know, for all my life, probably, you know,
Yep.
Metallica, Megadeth, all the classics, you know,
Yep.
and all of the hard rock of the 80s as well. So yeah, that was the flame that, you know, that really sparked the
Yep.
my interest and my love for this genre. Then of course, through the 90s, I had the chance to check gradually all of the, you know, all of the evolution of that classic sound, you know, with all
Mm-hmm.
the more extreme way that thrash bands like Slayer were starting to, you know, to play, and then all the death metal of the 90s,
Yes.
the black metal of the 90s, all that really pushed me into the whole metal idea and the love for heavy metal that I still
Yep.
have.
Sure. Sure. You have any tours that you're planning in Europe at the moment?
Uh, we have some shows in Italy at the moment, because it was a bit of a struggle actually with you know, after COVID,
Of course.
trying to you know, start again touring and have you know, an agency that could take care of us. It's been a bit of a struggle, but probably we're, you know, we're now starting to be back on track on that. So we have some shows in Italy. We'll do a couple of release shows for the album, for the
Hmm.
release of the album,
Cool.
and then yeah, we plan on touring this fall. I don't know if in the States or in Europe, but something
Okay.
will happen.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
Anything else? I guess we've covered most of the bases on this little interview here for our time slot. And anything else you'd like to add before we wrap it up, I guess?
Well, no, I've already said that we are
Yeah.
already recording the next album, so
Yeah.
so that's probably, you know, the next step after the release of this one. A bit of touring, we hope, and then we'll be back on you know, on focusing on the next part, the next album.
Sure.
So we'll have a pretty fit, you know, a pretty thick schedule from now until 2025, more or less, because we'll also have some digital singles coming out in
Okay.
the meantime, you know, and you know, we will develop the story and finally end it with
Now
the next album.
this release is available on CD and vinyl.
Yeah, CD, vinyl, and then we have also, well, there are different versions also of vinyl. I think there are 4 different
Okay.
versions, limited editions, and we also have a limited box set with the CD, and then we have, you know, we have split into the 3 albums. We'll have like a set of tarot cards, some runes, because these objects are really, you know, linked to the story. So
Yep.
it's kind of having, you know, some objects that are directly linked to the story, and yeah, a poster and a pendant. So you'll have some fan
Cool.
items in that.
And of course, I guess you can go out and pre-order it right now on the website.
Absolutely, absolutely. You will find that in our official shop, or, you know, any other metal shop around. Also on our AFM Records shop. There are some exclusives there, you know, for the vinyl
Hmm.
versions. So yeah, yeah, you can go out and pre-order it, of course.
Well, thank you for your time today, and I hope everything keeps going smooth and folks come out and buy the new release. And if you like what we've been doing on the Rock Fantasy YouTube channel, please take a moment to subscribe and share it around on your social media. And we'll see you next time. And for Rock Fantasy and for Damna,
Thank you so
Elvenking,
much.
thank you, and horns
Thank
up.
you, man.
Yep.
Thank you.